everyone, and welcome to another Chud Watch. How is everyone doing? I hope you're having a good end to your week. Hope your Friday's going well. It's time to dive back into the world of John Doyle, as well as other right-wing weirdness. It's gonna be a fun one. So buckle up. Get ready for psychic damage, I guess. I've prepared myself. How have I done so, you ask? I haven't. It just sounds better if I say I have. So, I don't know, before we get into that, maybe let's do some short stuff. Gives people a chance to show up, all that good stuff. History Chick, 96, thanks for 36 months. That's a sub baby. This sub baby's name is going to be... Commie Jones. Commie Jones. John Doyle wants this baby to heck off. Phoenix Leftist, thanks for a 65 stream streak, Jesus. Terradona with a 105 stream streak. That's absurd. Cool. Stone Corbell, thanks for a 45 stream streak, and we're caught up. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor, like the stream. I would appreciate it. And I think that's it. I think we can get into some of the shorter stuff before we do Doyle. Cool. I will adjust this so that we can see better. I think I had this set for BitChute for tinfoil or something. Right Wing Watch is a really great account, by the way. It is on Twitter, but in case you hate Twitter like a normal person, they also have a YouTube channel. They also have a YouTube channel, a Threads. You know, they have social media on pretty much everything now, so would recommend. Oh, by the way, this music. Who sent me the Humble Bundle code again? Because I didn't realize when someone sent me that Humble Bundle code the other day how much fucking stock music they gifted me. It was literally $2,000 worth of fucking stock music. It's incredible. Thank you, Altered Undying. That shit was incredible. I'm only halfway through downloading it all, because there's so fucking much of it. But, it's so much generic royalty-free background music. It solves a lot of my problems, honestly. My starting music, it's so hard to find, and now it should be good. So you seriously helped me out a lot, Altered Undying. You saved me a lot of time editing things out. So thank you. Seriously. So I have an incredible amount of stock music now. Oh boy, Nick Fuentes. What's Fuentes doing? Fuentes is a Nazi, if you don't know.
If you really believe in Christianity, we have a different religion than these people, than the rest of these people in this country. We have a different religion than these Jews. We have a different religion than these liberals. What is your true religion? Because, of course, we believe that these things like transgenderism and homosexuality and feminism and usury and liberalism itself, these things are sinful. These things are wrong.
Liberalism is sinful. Famously, I remember, in Corinthians, in 2 Corinthians, or as Trump would say, 2 Corinthians 16, it says, and lo, beholdest unto thee, the dirty libs shall be smote for 1,000 years.
Democracy is wrong. Feminism is wrong.
Democracy is wrong. Don't you just love that we're, at this point, fighting against people who openly want to take away basic human rights? I love that. Altered Undying says, I got it to turn into MP3 and play as background music on Roll20, that I was like, Hannah could use this. Very much so. Thank you. We do need Boxy. Thank you. We did a VHS stream yesterday, so we didn't have Boxy, but we definitely need Boxy back today. Today, Boxy, they, them pronouns are Boxy.
Contraceptives are wrong. If you want to be right with God, you must oppose all this stuff.
God says, if you're gonna jizz, don't put that bag on your cock. That's a sin, I guess. Created the entire universe. Very concerned about where your sperm goes. Very normal beliefs about the creator of the universe.
You know what isn't said to be wrong?
You know what the sin of Onan really was? He didn't go down.
Anti-Semitism, denying the Holocaust, being racist, being, whatever, being a sexist. If you really...
He's proud of the wrong things. He's proud of the wrong things.
Transvestites and all the other
That's not the preferred nomenclature, dude.
transgenders, by their choice, to come and entertain the children who were there to do the Easter egg hunt. They were the entertainment. That's what the B person thought was important. So let me tell you what. And he said,
were there even, like, trans people specifically at the Easter thing? Like, there may have, I'm sure statistically there were some trans people there, but, like, what?
while they were...
Do they think they showed up and they're like, hello, everyone, instead of the Easter Bunny, here are some trans people
doing all of that, he interrupted them and said, I have to let you know, I'm so excited to see that you all are here. Well, he invited them, of course.
The difference is the Easter Bunny hides eggs. Trans people were eggs.
It will be known as the trans...
Not either or. It was all... Trans Day of Visibility was not invented this year. It's existed for a very long time, and it is always on that day. Easter, the date changes. Okay? Because it's like the last Sunday of that month, which is a different date every year. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure in the next few years it falls on 4/20, which is pretty funny. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, stop freaking out about Easter. It's fine. Have your Easter. Didn't change anything about it.
Gender Visibility Day from this day forward. Forever. It will not
From
be
this day
hear that.
forward forever. The president can make that proclamation. Fun fact. Oh, Shane Vaughn. Shane Vaughn's an incredibly annoying person. He's a big Trump guy. Kind of a QAnon-adjacent person. Bittergrin with 100 bits says, so the stork brings baby cis people and the Easter Bunny brings baby trans people? Yes.
Listen, I'm not dumb. I don't know what happened with him and Stormy Daniels. I don't know what happened with him and E. Jean Carroll. He may be guilty of it all, and yes, call me a cult member, I don't care.
Okay, that would be culty. Your opinion doesn't matter anymore. No one has to take you seriously if you're like, I don't care what this guy did. He can R-word as many people as he wants, and I'm gonna vote for him. Yeah, and then you get mad when people call you guys pieces of shit. Do you understand why? This is why. You're a bad person. Like, don't be a bad person and then get mad when people call you bad people. Jesus Christ. Edgy moment Edgy Mo Entertainment. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. I got it. Terradona, thanks for 100 bits. Chiba Hawk says, anyone else literally always envision the scene when someone uses forever in that way? Let me guess, Sandlot forever.
Forever. Forever. Forever.
I know every movie clip before you actually send it to me, chat. Thank you. H. Boyd says, how many homosexuals are at a Wendy's today? Hold on, we'll have to ask Rob. Will come from eggs and live on the internet together? Are you a Digimon? I'd like to be. They have a good theme song. Humiliated Grapes, thanks for 500 bits, 97% to level 1 on a hype train.
Why? No more.
Sorry, I gotta get this out. Change into digital champions to save the digital world. Digimon, digital monsters. DM Trey, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
Then I would have cared what David did with Bathsheba if I saw that he was winning the war.
Oh, Yikerinos, that story involves David, the king, at the time, R-wording a woman and then murdering her husband. So that's great. Humiliated Grapes, thank you so much for gifting a sub. Wait, what?
Then conquer we must. When our cause it is
This is the fourth stanza of the Star-Spangled Banner.
just. And this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner
Thanks, Baha.
in triumph shall wave. I meant to bring the triumph hat there to show that too. So there's the triumph there where you see, you take the I and the H out there, there is a trump, and not to overdo the trump.
If you take the I and the H out, if you just completely change what the word is we're reading, then it's a different word. Did you know that? Did you know that if you change a word to be a different word, it's a different word than the original word you changed it from being? It's incredible.
Thing, but it's there.
Whew! Okay. Starting off great today. I'm already taking a lot of psychic damage, so I'm pretty excited.
Debate over slavery and the 3/5 clause. They were saying if you're not going to let them vote and you're not going to let them be citizens, you shouldn't get to count them on your numbers towards Congress. 3/5 clause, by the way, is an anti-slavery clause, not a pro-slavery clause. So
Fucking what?
anyway, that's what it's all about.
Is a silver lining to this.
He's talking about the bridge collapse after the ship ran into it because of the electrical problems. H-Beard says, shh, Hannah, if you have a stick to words without altering letters, then Nostradamus followers would be out of the business.
Could be that this could be the Lord warning us that the nation is in danger of collapsing its bridge to its noble past.
That's my primary way of communicating to people, is destroying bridges.
Is being
You call it my love language.
lost, and that hacking might be the thing in the election that is the most dangerous about what takes place. The news blackout as the blackout on the ship. If there is a
Jesus. It's just word association. It's reasoning by word association. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub, 31% to level 3.
Perverted and demonic out there. The president of the
Thanks, Demibird.
United States tries to cancel Easter and Resurrection
You can send me the link right now.
Sunday and replace it with Transgender Day of Visitation.
They didn't replace it. Multiple holidays take place on the same day all the time. Jesus Christ. You know, it would be funny if it wasn't so frustrating watching propaganda so successfully pervade like 40% of the population. That's like the kind of propaganda that it takes 5 seconds to think through. It's a shame. Fest Demon, thanks for 400 bits. 44% to level 3 with a minute and a half left on the hype train. Oh boy. What's Michael Flynn doing?
We are now led by a group of people who have no conscience. They might say, in this case, I'm talking specifically about Biden, who says he's a Catholic. Yeah,
He is.
That is so far from however he actually operates, right?
Right.
But it's not just him. It's not just him. These are soulless, dark people who believe in the idea of socialism and Marxism and communism. That's it. I mean, it's that simple.
Famous Marxist socialist Joe Biden.
So it's not like, well,
Thanks, Demibird, for the link. Oh, I did actually look at this. This video was 9 months old, and it was about the thing. So I did save this person. I was just looking for another video from them because that was pretty old in the fact that it was related to the Colleen Ballinger stuff. But I did find that person interesting.
these are just bad.
So I'm going to be looking for a video from them. H-Baird says, as a trans woman, I can definitely say that Easter is ours now. We'll consider giving it back if you meet our demands. If you continue to resist, we're taking the 4th of July next.
Democrats.
Next is 4th of July. Then Arbor Day. And so on, in that order.
No, these are people
Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
who want to take our country away from God. They want to take
Wait, since when did God own it? When? When? What?
Take our country away from this system of government that we have called the constitutional republic, and they want to recreate a government. They want to fundamentally change America.
No, they don't. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Is this dementia? Yikerinos.
Hitler was elected. I mean, you can manipulate, you can win over, you can brainwash.
That is misleading. The Nazis were elected as a plurality into the Congress or the Parliament of the state prior to it being Nazi Germany. And then when Hitler was made chancellor to appease the Nazis, once the old leader died, I believe, Hitler decided he was just going to take over. So he did kind of unilaterally take over things in a way that he was not supposed to legally. Fascists aren't big on what's legal, but either way, Biden didn't steal anything. You don't have to like Joe Biden, but he won the election.
I think it's interesting because when he's in meetings with foreign dignitaries, he has translators. But if you pay attention to him, he often knows what the dignitary said. He indicates by his body language that he understands what they're saying before the translator puts it into.
1 second.
English. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. So
the conservatives thought they could control Hitler. Yeah. Wow. What do you know? The more institutional, like conservative party thought that they could control the ultra-white right-wing faction of their party when bringing them into the fold, and then it backfired. Gee, I wonder if that's ever happened since then again. Looks directly into camera.
And he married 2 different women from Eastern.
I know what you mean.
Europe. You're
talking about it in terms of the terms that would have been used more so in 30s.
Has children who are multilingual. Both of 2 of his mother-in-laws were Eastern European, so he's incredibly widely traveled. He owns properties around the world, and my point here is that, for example, some people would refer to Melania as a trophy wife. And if you've paid attention to Melania, especially when you saw her tribute to her mother, Melania is a force to be reckoned with. She didn't.
Is she even around? I don't think I've seen Melania in quite a while. Anyway, all right, let's jump into the John Doyle thing. Why the hell not?
New season of America just dropped. We are no longer just an economic zone where anyone in the world can flood into the country to pick at the bones of our civilization. Now we are also a rights zone where a federal judge has ruled that anyone in the world upon flooding into the country is actually free to carry a firearm because that's constitutional, which is...
My understanding is that constitutional rights more or less apply to you whether or not you're a citizen, right? Like, even if you're not a citizen, there are certain things that apply to you, and the Second Amendment, as in the Constitution, seems like the gun laws that exist for citizens would also apply to non-citizens. So if you had an open carry law, and they somehow, I guess, had a gun legally through a process that didn't require some sort of background or ID check, I don't see why that would be different.
Just to say that is actually the outcome that the founding fathers intended for in writing that document. I know that may raise some red flags, but this decision, which of course came from an Obama-appointed federal judge, it was actually praised by our annoying little brother, our cousin who never quite grew up, never quite figured it out, the online libertarians who were celebrating criminals accessing firearms as some victory for freedom. They've, I guess, outsmarted this far-left judge who has unknowingly given us a real patriot victory on a brass platter. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is, of course, not the case. There's something sinister afoot, which is why I am issuing a real patriot alert. We are in serious...
If John Doyle and the libertarians want to fight each other over which one has the more embarrassing ideology, I'm here for it. I will sit here and enjoy the show. I'm a fan of Godzilla movies, so monstrous fighting is kind of up my alley.
Patriot trouble right now. All this human rights, communist gobbledygook, right? If no human being is illegal, that is, by the way, the governing belief of our country right now. So everyone gets to come here because if
that's the governing belief of our country. You know, John, if everything you say is hyperbolic, kind of just makes you look like an asshole.
Human being could conceivably be illegal, we would enforce those laws, but there's virtually no effort to because those in
John, people get deported all the time. What the fuck are you talking about?
charge believe that's an impossibility. So no human being is illegal. We put the signal up, come on in, then, you know, Mexico and the cartels escort you. It's all paid for and coordinated by these networks of NGOs, cartels, elite types, etc. So we let the whole
Oh, he's like full on a conspiracy train here. Great.
world in, basically. And if everyone here is entitled to these natural rights, then we have to wonder, is everyone in the world equally capable of exercising these rights? That's
There it is. Has he been reading Animal Farm? And at the end he's like, some animals are more equal than others. That sounds great. What the fuck? Sure, I believe in the concept of, like, rights or whatever, but, like, what if some people just can't handle them? Dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle. We get it, John. You think you're a special little boy, and everyone who isn't just like you isn't capable of having human rights. It's not that you're allowing your own insecurities to drive your entire destructive political ideology. You're just a special little boy, and no one else gets it. He's killing it.
That's what we're taught. Yeah, you know, the system can work for anyone. It's just that the English were accidentally the first to figure it out, but it can work for anyone. And
John, are you under the impression that the English invented democracy or a republic or the concept of, like, quote-unquote human rights? Like, these ideas have been dabbled with in various cultures and places around the world for fucking ever? What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
if we just snapped our fingers and everyone in the world suddenly had a gun, the world would actually be a less violent place because, as I'm sure you know, more guns equals less crime. But, you know, the left, they don't want to have that conversation. So now you see what's going on at the border. Literally, the seal is bursting, people flooding into the country, and you might say to yourself, wow.
John, hey, fun fact. I know that you were born in the year 2000, so, like, you're young. I get that. But, like, when I was back in the year 2000, cognizant, we were having this same discussion. Right-wing people have been using the border as some sort of stupid wedge issue for literally decades and decades, and it's never been a catastrophic issue. So, like, try and run on something that isn't this. That'd be great.
They're like invaders. No, that's half empty. Half full says that they are Second Amendment respecters. They are fellow humans who just want to exercise their rights in our right zone. They want admission.
Captain Squid with 9 months says, because of course America has the lowest crime rate on the face of the earth. Pretty sure he was being facetious there. He was using a libertarian rhetoric facetiously. I don't think he believes that. Captain Squid with 9 months. This sub-baby's name is going to be... Twinkie Lumberjack. Twinkie Lumberjack. For no particular reason.
Into the theme park. That's why we don't let the armed guards do their job. Because seriously, we've like invented this idea that we have an obligation to other people. Human rights, that's not a real thing. That's not a concept. That's not like a thing that we're all aware of, like some objective phenomena where if you...
Wow! Hard take against human rights there, John. I hadn't gotten this far into the video. Oh boy, he's just saying it. He's just saying it. He's just saying it.
In our right zone, they want admission to the theme park. That's why we don't let the armed guards do their job. Because seriously, we've like invented this idea that we have an obligation to other people.
Yeah, you're a human being, John. You're a human being. Are you familiar with the social contract or any of the ideas that is based upon? Do you think that you live on an island and you aren't owed things to other people and vice versa?
Human rights, that's not a real thing. That's not a...
Human rights are a thing. They're a social contract that we agree to. They are a social construct that we collectively come to.
A concept. That's not like a thing that we're all aware of, like some objective phenomena where if you explained it to someone from another...
It's not an objective phenomena, but it is a real phenomena that doesn't require American citizenship to understand? What in the world?
country, they'd be like, oh yeah, our word for that is just this. No, they'd be totally confused. You wouldn't even make sense to them. Like,
fucking what? Is John this like myopic and sheltered that he is under the impression that no one in any other country other than America has some sort of philosophical concept of rights or human rights? What? Sometimes I think John Doyle's like a conniving person who's manipulating his audience, and then I hear stuff like this and I'm like, oh no, he's just also an idiot. He's just also really, really ignorant and has no idea how anything works. This is so fucking sad. Like, this is how small he thinks the world is? This is how little he thinks of his fellow human beings? That people not born in the United States are NPCs and capable of understanding the basic concept of respect for other people? What?
computer, we, ordinateur, we let the whole world in. Well, actually, they kind of have to do that too over in France, don't they? Recalls a silly little book, come to think of it. You get the point, though. This obligation to the whole world, that's a uniquely Western idea. No other people in the world practice that, let alone if it would mean
But you don't even like those other places in the world. What a very strange thing he's trying to do here. He hates other places in the world. He doesn't respect the people from them, but he's saying, well, we should do what they're doing and not care. Like, do you think that there's something good about our cultural zeitgeist, or don't you? Pick a lane, asshole!
the collapse of their civilization. And now we're going to arm them. And gun laws will be enforced just like now against only American patriots. And Christians really need to understand this.
Only American patriots! Hey, nights after bowling!
There's nothing virtuous about collapsing your civilization. There's nothing Christ-like about suicide. So
Jesus basically committed suicide by cop, so I don't know if that's true. I just want to point that out.
We will go over all this nonsense about human rights, whatever that means. An updated truth about the Second Amendment, what gun ownership actually is and means in this country, why the left suddenly wants to democratize access to guns, why libertarians think this is good, which is because they're stupid, why libertarians are stupid, what we can expect going forward as the country with the greatest civilian arms stockpile becomes overrun with the third world, and what you should do as a sensitive young man to prepare going forward. Do stay tuned. If you don't stay tuned, I'm going to shoot.
Not calling out his own base regarding the bill that was about the immigration bill, increased spending on the border wall, but got shot down by Republicans for Trump. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll bring it up.
John Doyle in. Heck off, commie.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heck Off Commie. You know, I've always been offended by this idea that anyone can come to America, and if they just agree to our values or whatever, it means they're just as American as everybody else who's had...
Wait a minute, John Doyle xenophobic? I never would have guessed that. He's such an open and caring guy who shows so much empathy for other human beings. I never would have guessed. Sarcastic, John. Of course you're a fucking asshole. We know.
families here for generations, sometimes even centuries. But now it's transitioning from offense to like imminent emergency situation, because now it's not...
It's always an imminent emergency, isn't it? Obama's always about to take your guns. The immigrants are always about to collapse your small Midwestern town where you haven't seen any...
...are maneuvering to grant them access to firearms using a ridiculous interpretation of an amendment, which was written largely to allow Americans to defend themselves from the uncivilized.
I'm getting sick of this crap. Hey, Doyle! Pick your website.
What the fuck is this?
Hey, it's Doyle. Need your help. Say no more.
Is his website done now? Is this about his website being back? Oh my. Oh my fucking god.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represented extremism. I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. Americanism, not globalism.
He's like, this is badass. This is going great. But no, like, it's ironic how some of it's shitty, though. Like, that's the funny part. I bet. Benikagami says, hello all. Oh joy, John Doyle for my drive home. John, I'm offended. Both you and I are considered Americans, especially because you seem to hate everything about America, and I actually enjoy this country sometimes. Stone Court Bell says, how much is this AI or stock animations? I think it's stock animations. I think it's plugins for some editing program that they just put, you know, whatever text and images they wanted. Like this, the Daily News thing, I'm assuming is like a thing, and then you can put in your own image and stuff. Yeah, like this is almost certainly the whole like background and everything is like pre-done, and then you just insert what you want the newspapers on the wall to look like. That's a guess, but to me that's what it looks like. It looks like stock, like things that you put images in to make it your thing. Sorry, I don't have the language for this very well.
Yes, it's real and it's true. The website is live. Many have been asking about this.
Many have been asking. Let's check out his website, god damn it.
Go check it out. Go sign up if you want more content.
Oh, it looks almost exactly like his old website. That's kind of lame. It just looks exactly like his old website. Why did it take so long to do this? This looks almost exactly the same. Okay. Cool beans. Oh good, he's gonna have merchandise again soon. I sure do hope he doesn't... Oh no! The Neo-Gastonism fucking shirt's still there! Please sell it. Please try and sell it again. Oh my god, yes. Yes.
Go access all the cool stuff. Go join the Discord server. But anyways, let's start from the beginning
The
here.
shop does not work yet.
So Sharon Coleman is a district court judge appointed by Barack Obama. She's ruled on things such as making same-sex marriage legal in Illinois before the Supreme Court would get around to it a year later. She's suddenly decided that she is a pro-Second Amendment constitutionalist. So you had this illegal alien who was charged with illegally possessing a concealed handgun. It works its way up. Now this woman has ruled that it's actually constitutional for illegal aliens to possess firearms. We're not going to get into the obvious problems with this. If you don't get it, then you shouldn't be here. I don't have anything to say to you. But I hope that this does sort out any faith that people still may have in the rule of law, the Constitution.
Can't believe John Doyle video is just a longer version of this shit post called Cringe Gaming Outros Be Like. Yeah, that is the vibe.
Hate that these people have for you is not going to be impeded or restrained by words on paper. Like, when is that worked out? When the bad guys have the power and they decide that it's good for women to be sexually emancipated or whatever, when it's good to make it illegal to...
The bad guys who want women to have agency with their own bodies. Shocking. Terradona says the Supreme Court opened that door, Doyle. Yep.
Hire people based on merit. When it's good to import third world criminals who have average IQs of like 80, let them carry firearms, then they just...
Jesus fucking Christ. Every fucking time with this shit. You know how many times I've fucking reported John Doyle's TOS shit and he just gets away with it?
Discover something.
Disgusting.
Something in the Constitution that permits that. And by the way, good for them just means bad for us. Like, they don't even advertise themselves as being capable of raising the standard of living anymore. Like, all of their messaging is just that they want to make people like us miserable. That's why Brandon...
What are you talking about? He lives in this fantasy world where he just imagines things that Joe Biden does.
Is campaigning.
If you consider Charlottesville, if you look at Charlottesville and the people who were there and you identify with the Tiki Torch people, you are the bad guy. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy.
Is the rule of law, never has been. It all comes down to who is in charge, who is enforcing that law, who is interpreting that law, and we've been operating on this myth that this is not the case, and so of course we've been completely flanked. And I know we've covered that extensively already, but still. And I also want to start by clarifying that I am pro-Second Amendment. I don't support any regulations that you hear about in the news all the time, everything that the Founding Fathers thought
any regulations
about guns, would think about guns. I'm right there with you. And I have to say that now because people tend to be very antsy about guns. Are you coming to take it? Are you coming to take it? Status. And then just relax. All right, buddy, we're on the same team. Just hear me out. The timing of this ruling, though, is interesting because I've been thinking a lot about constitutional carry laws recently. And I've sort of been developing this theory that the only reason the initiative has been so successful, because with any conservative agenda that is successful, it's usually only successful because it's allowed to be. So you kind of have to wonder why that is. And with
Again, I forget how conspiratorial he is. He has the same ideology of a conspiracy theorist that believes there's this teleological, top-down, all-powerful them that exists to put him down, to morally destroy him. It's so paranoid and delusional, and yet he just says it casually like it's a normal, healthy thing to believe.
Constitutional carry, meaning that you can just carry a firearm without a license. I've decided that the reason it's been so successful is probably much less about caring about the Constitution and much more about just reducing the ability for criminals to run into problems if they're carrying a gun. Because a lot of times when you...
So, broadly, you see gun regulations being taken away by courts, and your thought is, this is a liberal plot. That's nonsensical. That makes no goddamn sense.
Got details that are shady, it's tough to prosecute these people, whether it's...
Fenekagami says, remember, John, you guys want no background checks to buy firearms. Of course criminals can get firearms under those conditions, including undocumented immigrants.
Because of the district attorneys, weak evidence, regulations.
I find it so disingenuous when he calls undocumented immigrants, like criminals in the first place. If you're doing things on top of that, okay, but that's not what we're talking about. You're literally just talking about people who came into the country. I don't really care. I'm not even sure if that's a full criminal action or what the, breaking the law thing would be for that other than deportation, what the actual sentencing. But the connotation is very different than what you really mean. What you mean is someone who is in this country without documentation. That's not a bad thing in and of itself. I don't care. That's completely neutral as far as I am concerned. Fenekagami says, remember, John... No, I read that. The People's Elbow, thanks for following.
Activists, lawyers, clerical incompetence, racial pressures.
Even stupider. Not criminals, then.
Of a firearm can go a long way. But if everyone is simply allowed to carry a firearm because all of a sudden we really care about what the Founding Fathers think, is that actually going to make for a safer society? Not that the Founding Fathers would agree with this illegal ruling thing. They would think you're an insane person. But still, we're supposed to suddenly think that the Constitution, respecting the Constitution, is actually what's at play here. And we're going to get into all the gun ownership and crime arguments in just a second, but just think about the type of person that is actually being affected by these laws. Most gun owners tend to be responsible people who are probably not going to think it's the end of the world if they have to apply for a concealed pistol license and attend a class, etc. Well, but it's my right. I shouldn't have to do that. Okay, I know. I'm just saying. With the types of people we have in America right now, who is
types of people we have
actually going to benefit from this? So I looked it up. I'm like, why are constitutional carry laws good? And all the answers were because government restricting freedom is bad. Full stop. Okay, sure, yes, but they do it every day. We have to be a little bit more realistic because you people also say...
Is John really trying to sell basic background checks to his audience? Because I almost guarantee they're not going to be for it. What is John doing?
That the only way...
Does he know... his audience or Republicans in general?
Get the government to stop restricting freedom is to go 1776 mode, but then you all sat inside your house for 2 years while they locked us down. You didn't do anything, which is the greatest tyranny in this country's history and probably even the history of the world. I mean, even
the greatest tyranny in the history of the country. I know he probably said that as bait. I understand. I'm not dumb. But come on! Even as bait, that's ridiculous.
Bolsheviks weren't breaking up private gatherings for grandma's birthday. And I'm not casting stones here. I don't believe that
geology, I don't blame you.
Revolution, civil war, I don't believe that is nearly as plausible as we all like to fantasize about, which I think we'll be discussing soon because they're making a movie about it, so trust. I'm just saying that I think we should think about things with a little bit more realism and not just LARP. So I found an organization which works towards this kind of stuff. And they said it's important because it restores Second Amendment rights to people who may not be able to afford classes and a permit and a background check. Sounds like a leftist resource scarcity argument, but I digress. And for context, constitutional carry is pretty much a red state, purple state phenomenon. That's very important here. So then here's a question. Do you really want somebody who can't afford to take a class to be able to carry a concealed handgun legally. Think about that.
They do, John. Do you know your audience? They don't want to take the class. Yes, they're a bunch of Republican assholes who think they know better than everyone. They're the last people on Earth who want to be required to take a class to operate their fucking firearm. They're gonna be like, the government can't tell me to take a class. I ain't going to no class. I just want to get to pew pew. Just want to shoot. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like he fundamentally doesn't know his own demographic. Weird. Stone Corbell says he also said something against natural law earlier, which also wouldn't sit well with conservatives. Like, he's trying to fash pill conservative viewers, and I don't think he's charismatic or subtle enough for that. Captain Squid says, realism, in quotes. And Jitara says, that's crazy. I thought John would have been one of those guys who are frothing at the mouth for the chance to kill people he disagrees with. Him saying that a Civil War II is unrealistic is surprising to me. He's talked about it before. I think at this point he's just realized that his positions are unpopular enough that his best, like, or anyone's best take at, like, taking over the country isn't armed, right? It's administratively. It would be through taking over the administrative state through stuff like Project 2025. So, that's my thought.
Of person who can't afford or who can't even figure out how to fill out some paper because the quality is necessarily better, but because you're trying to distance yourself from people who can only afford the cheaper options. That's a diversity tax that you're paying. Does that translate anywhere else, do we think? Oh, but criminals don't follow laws. Don't you know that? Right. That doesn't necessarily mean that we just pitch the laws, though. That means we charge criminals and put them in jail, right? I mean, the type of person who is responsible enough to carry a concealed firearm is probably not going to view a class as a significant impediment. I had to take one. I wish I didn't. But I also live in the real world, and I can think about things beyond just spaz.
First of all, John, you don't live in the real world. Second of all, your audience definitely doesn't. Who are you pitching this to? I feel like John fundamentally does not even understand his audience. I know it's mostly Gen Z fashy people, but holy shit.
About my freedom or whatever. So, and I know you're not going to like this, but stay.
DM Trey says, John, you're one of the biggest LARPers I know. I've been around more guns and gun owners than the average person, and let me tell you, I've seen so many people have no idea what they're doing. I've had so many guns aimed at me. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Stay with me. Hold on.
I know that's not your fault. That just scares me.
On. Ask yourself this. Given our circumstances right now, is it better to direct right...
I've shot guns a total of, I think, 2 times in my entire life. It's the one rule. And maybe this helps that I grew up in Michigan in the Midwest where, like, tons of people have guns regularly for hunting and stuff. But it is hammered into your head from such a young age. Like, you do not point a gun. If you have a gun, you do not ever point it at anything you don't intend to destroy. You do not put your finger anywhere near the trigger unless you are ready and aiming at the thing you intend to destroy. The amount of, like, people just drives me nuts.
Right-wing resources into this, or to maybe installing our own district attorneys who will actually prosecute criminals? How many millions...
Famously, DAs don't ever prosecute crimes.
...of dollars are we spending funding this kind of stuff, which I don't believe actually helps us, except maybe on the margins? I think it's only allowed because, again, it disarms the prosecution to the extent that prosecution even occurs, versus what we spend actually trying to restore order to our cities. Who is more empowered by this? I can't imagine someone who is serious about their right to self-defense who wouldn't just go take the class. But I can imagine a lot of criminals who now feel more empowered to just freely drive around with a handgun, and if police find them, so what? And obviously, I don't criminals to more freely just carry guns around with them on their...
In his head, that's really it, isn't it? He thinks that constitutional carry laws are being passed in order to intentionally embolden criminals. That is one of the wildest out-of-touch takes I've ever heard. It's impressive to me that John Doyle continually somehow finds ways to surprise me about how his, image of the world is completely fucked. And I'm not going to say mine's perfect. No one's is perfect. There's no such thing as an objective view of the world that any of us will ever have. We're all in our own little corners and subsections, and you can only see so much at one time. But holy shit, this is off base! Dillis Filler, thanks for 11 months, says, in this house we stand muzzle and trigger discipline.
Their person.
Muzzle, you say?
In their day-to-day. That's like my tinfoil hat, you know. In solid blue states where they don't prosecute actual crime, they'll...
Yes, he means non-white, I know.
have gun laws to disarm you specifically, because yes, actual criminals don't follow laws, but those blue states will still prosecute you for defending yourself. But now these red, purple states, which are coming around to constitutional carry, states where maybe we do still prosecute crime, where maybe
John,
some actual criminal
repetitive. I haven't covered this before, or maybe you watched someone else cover it.
could go to jail. Well, now all of a sudden they're saying, well, it shouldn't be a crime to carry a gun because all of a sudden we care about the Constitution. That's the difference.
Anonymous, thanks for gifting a sub to Forrest Espion.
Very interesting. So in blue states where gun laws are only enforced against you, you've got to jump through a million hoops. But in red or purple states where maybe we could actually get some justice, hey, don't worry, Patriot, we've got your back now. Anyone can carry a gun, and now even the illegal patriots can carry guns too. Less crime, right, amigo? Don't you remember? We're shipping busloads of illegal patriots to your state so they can practice their God-given right to self-defense, brother. Not like in those blue states, brother, where they have to deal with big government. Do you see the problem here? Very, very not muy bien. Obviously, again, I'm pro-Second Amendment, but I have to be suspicious of any sudden attempt to democratize access to firearms, because it's not like they'd let...
Because you're a paranoid reactionary?
That happen if it were really a threat to them, right? Maybe our guys realize we've reached critical mass and we're just trying to spend all political capital to distribute resources in preparation. Maybe it's actually more of a threat to us. Maybe it's meant to hurt us. Maybe that's also why the legal system is democratizing access to guns.
Again, I'm sorry, I just haven't noticed this thoroughly before. Maybe it's because I've been thinking about the propensity for, like, teleological explanations and conspiracy, but I am seeing it here with John so hard. He's searching for a reason that this is happening. He's searching for a reason that he disagrees with the thing that is happening, often with a lot of support from other right-wing people, but instead of recognizing that maybe he just has a different view of this than a lot of other right-wing people, he has to concoct a conspiracy in which whoever is in charge in his head is trying to demoralize him and destroy society by doing a thing Republicans like that he thinks is bad. Like, that's mental gymnastics on the level of someone like Cece. Like, Doyle's much more articulate than a lot of conspiracy theorists we watch, but his reasoning is, like, exactly the same at the bedrock level. It's wild.
The non-citizens, you have to understand when the snake is defending itself. Now on to the libertarian.
We'll see Midnight. So far, the Gaston shirt was just an image. He hasn't actually posted his merch page. If it gets posted and it is there, we'll see.
Snakes who have never and who will never defend themselves, they were enthused about this ruling because they want to arm migrants. This is because they are Second Amendment absolutists, Maheckin pew-pews. It's the only axiom of their worldview. You are either pro-Maheckin shooty sticks or you're a fascist, communist, authoritarian, statist, commie tyrant. Like that is...
Sorry. One sec.
is how they view the world, because they're...
Benekagami says, to be fair, he is right. Constitutional carry does embolden criminals, specifically stochastic terrorists like those likely to be Doyle's fans. Yeah, like Kyle Rittenhouse.
Egalitarians at their core. They're liberal.
Kyle Rittenhouse is a big Doyle fan, for those that don't know. Surprise!
They believe that the founding fathers wrote the Constitution to enshrine God-given rights, meaning everyone gets these rights, and America's like this zone for this enforcement of this access to natural rights, God-given rights, etc. They believe that when I own a gun, it's the same thing as when a Haitian owns a gun, because there's no labels, there's no borders, there's only gun owner. And if the Haitian and I are both gun owners, well, then we're the same in the eyes of the libertarian. And actually...
John, yes. Human beings are human beings, and under the law, you can't discriminate and should not discriminate because of people's nationality or, like, perceived race. What insanity. Look at his smug face as he says this, too. It's like he thinks being an asshole is some, like, dark intelligentsia stuff. Like, he thinks that he's, like, some big brain, like, thinker because he's saying shit that, like, in the 90s would have gotten you beat up. Like, he's... Like, it's like he thinks these are new ideas, like, excuse me, kids, I'm Gen Z John fucking Doyle, and, actually, have you considered racism abased? Like, These aren't original ideas, John. You just don't hear them in the mainstream often because we've been through them and we all decided they're cringe and fucking evil. It is not a hot take for some jackass to think that people shouldn't be equal under the law. You're not new in regard to that. You suck. Stop playing repeats everyone hates. At least come up with new ways to try and make me hate you. Okay? Just boring. H. Baird says, the essence of conservatism... oh yeah, I like this phrase. The essence of conservatism is that society consists of people whom the law protects but does not bind, and those the law binds but does not protect. The law that in theory protects both groups would be terrifying to people like him. Right, it's hierarchical. It's an us versus them. You have to be an in-group and there has to be an out-group, because without an out-group, you have nothing. They're defining themselves entirely by their oppression of others, or by their position of power over others, or a social position higher than others. They can't just exist on their own. They can't just be their own person. They're nothing if they don't have someone to look down on. And they must manufacture and maintain social structures that allow them to do that. If you try and get rid of those things, that's devastating to them because it's all they have.
The libertarian would sooner ally with the Haitian alien, than with John Doyle.
That's not even a dog whistle. He's just being fucking racist. This is absurd that he's allowed on YouTube. I can't believe this shit. He's such a joke. Hydrate.
Doyle, because John Doyle's mean, and he doesn't think that James Madison had the Haitian alien in mind when he wrote the Second Amendment, which means that John Doyle wants to restrict the rights of people.
Hey, all the people who wrote the Constitution are dead, so they don't get a vote.
Like a freaking
hydrate
authoritarian, which means that he's a bad guy. And if you said this to a founding father, they probably would have had you hanged, of course. But as if they, would have just armed the Indians. They would have given guns to the Indians because of these God-given rights, these natural.
Is John under the impression that no indigenous tribes had a hold of guns by 1776?
Rights.
Or roundabouts.
Would they arm the people trying to conquer them? Well, they were the...
Hey, John, people coming into the country looking for work aren't invading? What are you talking about?
Invaders first. They're occupying stolen land. Yeah, based. I don't know why you're like 5 years old and think you're exposing some profound double standard. It's based and red-pilled when we do it, and it's cringe and gay and illegal when they do it. Like, that's...
Again, literally just saying the quiet part out loud. He has no set of basic standards. It's entirely identitarian. It's entirely about giving himself and people he likes extra privilege and demonizing others and hurting them. That's it. That's his goal. Gitara says, I wonder how John would feel about me owning my gun legally. I'm a black man from Detroit. I'm a born American and got my gun legally, but somehow I bet he would find some reason to justify why I shouldn't have mine. He wouldn't feel the need to justify it. On YouTube, he's careful. This is him being careful. In person, if he wasn't being filmed, I think he would say to your face exactly why he thinks what he thinks. He's that bad a fucking person.
How the game is played. You don't arm the invaders. Principles are abstractions that you and your cool friends agree upon when the war is over. But the war's not over, is it? But you can't explain this to a libertarian.
That's a sick, fucked up thing to think.
Because the libertarian psychology is like the worst thing you can imagine. And I may do a video in the future explaining this more in depth, why I stopped being a libertarian when I was like 16.
I get some weird vibe that John Doyle fancies himself sort of a Conan the Barbarian, like a learned, like warrior, right? Because for those who don't know Conan, like Conan wasn't just out here murdering people, though that was most of it. That dude read poetry, right? Like he knew philosophy, like he was more than just a stereotypical barbarian. I think that's what John views himself as. He thinks he is an intellectual warrior of some sort, and that is so funny, because he's neither.
But for now, we will simply mog on them. And for what it's worth, I like the paleo-libertarians. I have a lot of respect and admiration for a lot of libertarians. I don't even reject the philosophy behind it necessarily.
What is best in life?
It would probably work pretty well in a country.
Oh god, what is the actual line? Something your enemies. Hear the lamentations of the woman. Wait. Crush your enemies. See them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women.
of like 130 IQ Anglo-Saxons, but that's not what we're dealing with. The problem with the libertarian is that they are delusional. They are not connected to reality. They assume
Takes one to know one.
like the perfectibility of the individual. They think only in ought, not in is. And it manages to simultaneously combine immaturity, classlessness, downward mobility, vulgarity.
It's from Genghis Khan. It's in the movie.
Egalitarianism, these democratic impulses. It's like if the Powerpuff Girls dad were in a lab.
Professor Utonium.
Trying to make like the world's biggest idiot. And then that's what it is. It's some like 45-year-old divorced dad who smokes weed and simps for e-girls on Twitter. And he spends his time being mad at statists and collectivists. What weed and simps for e-girls?
Is that a picture of John Doyle from 20 years from now? Holy shit.
Girls on Twitter, and he spends his time being mad at statists and collectivists. What planet are you on? You just call me a collectivist? In 2024, these people, how do you dress yourself? I mean, who helped you put the graphic tee on this morning? And the synthesis of that, by the way, its product is ideas and discourse like this, the antithesis of everything that we're trying to do, and why so much waste occurs on our
in 4K set's pretty rad. Yeah, I have it.
Our side is because of this
downstairs, though, so it's with my fantasy action stuff.
Cancerous infection from libertarianism. It's like in Portal 2. Remember when GLaDOS tells you,
how is John Doyle a fan of the Portal games?
The scientists developed the core to do nothing but distract her with the stupidest ideas conceivable to prevent her from becoming too powerful. That's the best way to understand libertarians. That's why they don't get to...
Damn it, John Doyle for the first time unironically made me laugh with a joke the way he intended. That's a shame. Fuck. Alright, he gets 1 point. He gets 1 point. That made me laugh.
Platformed, but yours truly did 2 years in Twitter jail before Elon Musk bought it. Speaking of which, there was this video going around recently. You see these all the time, though. And it was a bunch of black people in Chicago. They're walking down the street, brandishing their firearms. You know, and I said something like, libertarians will see this and be like, hell yeah. Just a bunch of open carry advocates exercising their Second Amendment rights. And libertarians were actually replying to that tweet with like the yes meme, like the Giga Chad. It's over. It's literally over. We're not just an economic zone. We're also like an arms trafficking zone. The only problem the libertarian has is that they don't have grenade launchers and M60s. Literally, like that's actually what these people believe. The Louisiana Libertarian Party was getting in on this. They don't believe in borders. They don't really have a problem with LGBT stuff because more freedom. Remember when they booed Gary Johnson because he said that driver's licenses are probably a good idea? Like, there's...
I do remember that. That was incredible. I appreciate that. No, it's kind of like how Marantz also hates the BBBY people, right? Like, the Bed Bath people are the joke of the meme stock community that everyone can make fun of. Libertarians, are the joke of the political community. No matter what your political affiliation, from, like, hardcore Marxist to right-wing fascist, everyone is fucking laughing at libertarians. That's incredible. H. Baird said, John Doyle, things are bad because people aren't bigoted enough. That's his whole political ideology, essentially.
They're the least serious people in politics, truly. I mean that.
Funny.
Like, guns are tools, right? That's what we say. Guns are tools of the gun owner. But are all gun owners the same? Do they behave the same? Doesn't matter. The Second Amendment, statist. You know, the Second Amendment...
That is how rights work, John. They apply to everyone. Do you know what a right is?
Was actually intended to enshrine the sovereignty of the American people over the government and to protect them from the savage continent which they were in the process of taming. It was written to apply only to citizens. We already have too many of those. But if you don't want to extend the right to bear arms to the invaders, well, then you're literally Hitler. This is the discourse. Rights for me, but not for thee. The modern conservative movement is just left-wing fascists that want to bring tyranny to the country at the speed limit. They don't understand, nor have even heard of the concept of inalienable rights. They are intellectual mental midgets masquerading as thought leaders. Midwit alert! Midwit alert! 110 IQ detected! Be advised, patriots, spike chromosomes are in the air and they're going to infect you. All the key midwit indicators are there. Modern conservatism, the use of the word modern to shield from criticism. Oh, I just mean modern I just mean modern feminism, as if you have an understanding of a timeline. The whole Michael Malice, conservatism is progressivism driving the speed limit. They love saying this whenever Republicans endorse something left-wing, which is usually because they're conservatarians, and they love saying this as if they have some other solution. Oh, you're mad at conservatives for agreeing too much with progressives? Okay, so what's your alternative? Doing literally the same thing thing because my freedom, like letting gay couples defend their marijuana farms with AR-15s. They have no understanding. They've never even heard of the concept of inalienable rights. Oh, inalienable. Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me that now for the first time. Just the mental midgets thing, the intellectual mental midgets. You know, that's a Reddit insult. If you Google that right now, best insults, that will come up. It's a tautology. Intellectual mental midget. What are you even saying?
That's not what a tautology means, John. A tautology, you mean redundant. It's redundant. A tautology would be a belief that is self-supporting. You just mean redundant.
Recognition of all mankind.
See what I mean about him trying to sound intellectual? Like I think he tries to use bigger words than necessary in any given situation to sound smart, but then he'll say the wrong word, and it's like, oh, you didn't really know what that word means at all, do you?
Natural.
That's a shame.
Right, then Imagine starts playing by John Lennon, and we all hold hands and we all sing songs. Frickin' statist. We're an economic zone and a right zone. Frickin' statist. I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Libertarian culture, gun culture, it's so cringe. Maybe it always has been to a certain extent. Maybe it's a psyop to make gun culture unattractive and off-putting.
I don't think you need to psy up for that. Again, I'm not against people owning guns, but gun culture is full of a lot of cringy bullshit.
Fucking booger finger on the bang switch. Shut the up, dude. I've been seeing these you heckin' booger finger on the bang switch. Shut the up, dude. I'm
sorry. John made me laugh again. Fuck. This is a bad. Like, he's a terrible person, but goddamn, he can insult people in a funny way. It's a shame he's such a piece of fucking shit. Shut the fuck up. Okay.
Seeing these reels and shorts of like these skinny
the trailer for Dead Boy Detectives looked pretty good.
Antifa guys, like it's got the same energy of the guy who kicked the woman in the downtown area and he wound himself up and he did like a little freaking kick, or even the video of the guy in the skateboard and he's like, say the N-word one more time, and the guy's just like, N-word, and then he like hits him with the skateboard in the head and he's like, you can't be saying the N-word, my guy. Like he consoles him immediately after. It's like it's aggression but without actual aggression. You're
John needs this important lesson. Oh boy.
That's what you call...
Oh, yeah! This might get off YouTube for a second, but frankly, this is one of my favorite Kirk speeches. It's so up its own ass, and I love it. Oh, wait, there it is.
As well-respected girls. Many such words. Among...
They went to a planet where there's, like, a war going on, and they're all, like, Stone Age, basically. And they have this ancient document of law, and he finds it.
Theatrics. You're like acting as though you are capable of things like that, but it's in the most gay way possible. It's like insane. It's fascinating to see this kind of content. Like it's just gay behavior that is wearing the costume of violence to make itself appear cooler, more edgy, more attractive.
John, getting punched in the face is getting punched in the face. Does the sexuality of the person doing it matter? This is such a cope. Oh, they're punching... People with my positions are getting punched in the face for being such shitbags, but, did you know that the fist was gay? Like, okay. Great. And? What the fuck?
But it's just cringe. Like, there's no conviction behind it.
It's actually cringe to punch me for being a Nazi?
No aggression behind it. It's just cope. Like, yeah, you're so edgy and rebellious for saying you're going to make the freaking government go away. Very threatening, very transgressive. Ideas that are actually dangerous don't need to present themselves with those theatrics. And I know we've talked about the Second Amendment before, how it's largely a cope, and I stand by all of that, but it's important to emphasize that what has emasculated men cannot be fixed with access to firearms. We are spiritually broken. We are completely domesticated. We have no real capacity for risk or discomfort or violence. And that's why a lot of the most popular content pertaining to guns looks exactly like you would expect it to look if that type of man were the biggest gun fanatic, which is that it looks like a bunch of little boys just playing around with guns. And
is John aware that he literally is that guy? Like, he's been, like, LARPing with this rifle on his wall, like, since he started his show, and that's how he comes off? Does he understand that?
Of course, I'm not calling for anything. I'm not even taking shots. I mean, it's cool content, but there's something to be said about that broader conversation on the internalized destruction of American men, the spiritual crisis. And we just have to emphasize that it doesn't matter what tools you give to that man. He himself is completely domesticated. He's a little boy. And it's not to say that the Second Amendment itself is like a cope. The whole thing was drawn up from the beginning and it was allowed to continue without ratification because the people in charge realized that it would be an effective like pressure release valve, and people would think to themselves, well, you know, the government would never try to become tyrannical because I've got all these guns, and then they would just circumvent it. But I do think that both sides at this point are effectively content with the standoff. Like, the government knows that banning guns is not practical, it's bad optics, it's not even necessary to do what they want to do, and it's never stopped them, certainly. And what they want to do isn't stop crime or gun violence, by the way, obviously. Well, criminals don't care about laws. So when you ban guns, you're only disarming law-abiding citizens. Yeah, that means you, white man, you poor bastard. That means you. You're the law-abiding citizen. You're the only person.
He is just, wow. I've talked about this before, but I think that as John Doyle has continued to do this, he has further and further allowed his personal Overton window to move to the right, to the point that he doesn't understand how mask off he's being. Because, oh boy, he's just saying it. He's just saying it. How's the computer? I haven't actually hooked it up yet. I've been busy. It's still downstairs. But I expect it'll be great. I'm sorry.
Who has his day-to-day decision.
I'm kind of afraid to plug the thing in. Like, I know I have to, and it had to be, like, taken off for shipping. But my brain goes, I gotta do this right. I gotta do this right. Fennikagami says, this video reminds me of the disdain for the, quote, useful asshole trope. It's convinced so many people that being an asshole makes you smart and you don't have to change to adapt to living with other people. And when shit hits the fan, people will be grateful you're there. In reality, if the asshole has no redeeming qualities and being a dick is just a flaw, assholes are the first to die because no one wants to deal with people like you, John. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Boxy does deserve a raise. I should start paying them at all.
And behavior affected by these laws. Like we said, blue states where they don't prosecute actual gun crimes, they'll have gun laws to disarm.
A fantasy world he's living in.
You specifically, what we talked about earlier is the red state, purple states, which are coming around to constitutional carry, becoming those states which now maybe do prosecute crime. Now all of a sudden they're saying, well, it shouldn't be a crime to just carry a gun because suddenly we care about the Constitution, I guess. That's the key difference. Criminals don't follow laws. You think they don't know that? Those gun laws are for you and you only, patriot. They want to disarm the people. They don't want to just disarm you because they're like threatened by you, but more so because they want you to be less equipped to defend yourself and your family from the consequences of diversity. I'm sure they're not like in love.
The consequences of diversity is a sentence that makes me want to vomit.
With Americans having so many guns. But America's a gun culture. It's always been a gun culture. And it became a gun culture precisely because we had to defend ourselves from the types of people that our tax dollars are now paying to import. House, clothe, feed, you know, the whole 9 yards. Well, most gun crimes are committed with handguns. Yeah, that's why they don't ban handguns. They don't want to stop crime. Don't ever make the mistake of believing that these people are saying words to you as if they're real or have meaning. They just don't want you here. And you really have to digest that and adjust your worldview to accommodate that knowledge. But that is precisely why they want to ban AR-15s. They want you to have to stop a mob of organized Haitian gangsters with a handgun.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Instead of an AR, while they also have...
Reminder that John Doyle lives in Michigan, last I checked.
Handgun.
I know he moved to Texas for a while, but I'm pretty sure this studio he's in right now is in Michigan. This was his parents' house, unless he moved his set.
It's the great equalizer, right? Suddenly doesn't seem so equal in that situation. Might need a little bit more there. Here's a fact. I don't know if you know this, but if you take American crime rates, violent crime, gun homicide, whatever, and you eliminate certain groups from the data to make our demographics...
He had moved to Texas, but again, this room I think is in Michigan.
Look more like
Could be wrong.
European countries to which we're always compared. It's a virtual match. They're the same per capita. But then the other side of that coin is that if you bring back the silly demographics and you expand their proportion of the overall population to match, say, the demographics of some third world country, well, then curiously, those violent crime rates match there too. It's fascinating because, see, I always thought that everyone's the same and a gun owner is a gun owner and we're all equal and we're all gun owners. And you run into...
Socioeconomic factors don't exist for John Doyle. Benekagami says, my god, between this and his last video, John is just so angry. He's losing it. I think he's doom spiraling. I think that's why he's so mask off right now. He's so mad he's losing care for the mask. Yeah, his video that we didn't watch, that was the one prior to this, was about Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin. And oh my god, he was just, his whole attitude, the whole thing was fucking weird and angry, and he was like yelling about how he thinks that politicians that he doesn't like are illegitimate. Like, not just that he doesn't like them, but like blatantly being like, we know these illegitimate politicians, referring to like AOC and stuff, and it's like, it's not surprising to me that he believes that, but it was shocking to hear him so blatantly say it.
A lot of problems like this when your axiom for viewing the world is only my frickin' pew-pews. Anyone who owns a pew-pew is friend, and those who are anti-pew-pew are enemy. More guns means less crime. Are you sure? Do you think if we dropped a pallet of Glock 17s into Memphis or Detroit or Chicago, do you think that's going to cause fewer crimes? Even if we give it a second to kick in, we check back in 6 months later. You know, if I were a skeptic, I would say that more guns being associated with less crime probably is like, okay, well, more guns tends to mean more white people because we like to hoard guns, we like hunting, we're generally pro-Second Amendment. So is it really the guns? Because we also know that the greatest predictor for violent crime at a national level is not
poverty,
not the proportion of...
He's not gonna say poverty, though.
Of a county that is not legal firearm owners, not even the proportion of the county that is in poverty. The strongest predictor, actually, is the proportion of the county that is composed of silly Americans. But it's easy to look at Montana, where 2/3 of the population owns a gun, and say, hell yeah, there's no Baltimore in Montana, and it's because criminals are afraid of all the guns. Are we sure? Is that what we're going with? But this is the discourse. The U.S. was founded by illegal immigrants with guns. Hey, do you think, you have an idea of what it means to become a nation or a people? That you got brainwashed into collectivism? Oh my, shut up. You're not an actual person. The CIA has been monitoring my blood pressure and my cortisol levels through the camera in my phone and just creating a danger. You are threatening my life by making me a danger to myself. You are putting me into a self-defense situation. Libertarians are literally the most collectivist people I've ever encountered because they're all NPCs. You will never sooner see someone's brain just shut down and start spitting out.
The NPC thing. Everyone who disagrees with me isn't a person. Chitara says, wait a sec, did John just admit that the government put guns into minority communities? I wonder if we can convince him that they put drugs in our communities too. He was saying a hypothetical.
Nonsense like you will with a libertarian. Pitbull owners, though, a close second. I'm really glad that I never smoked weed and got into arguments with my dad, because otherwise my libertarian phase maybe would have lasted beyond 16, maybe even into 18. Who knows? That would have been a disaster. But yeah, I've been seeing these reels and these shorts where like some guy's just playing around with guns. There's a whole genre of this content now, and a lot of it's really cool. But then you see a lot of it, and you've got these guys like soy facing. They're like, whoa, look at my freaking pew pew. Look at my shooty stick. Shooty boy, make big boom. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, I love guns. I respect guns. I have many. But what is going on with the fetishizing? And I don't like the whole like leftist psychoanalyzing bit, but like, what's going on? Do you understand what you're talking about?
Don't care for thinking about why people do things, but let's do it.
You're talking about killing people, and I'm not moral fagging. I'm not like, hey, take it seriously.
I'm gonna report that too.
Why are you being gay about it? You see this a lot with any LARPing, whether it's operator LARPing, crusader LARPing, Deus Volt, but then they tone police me for saying something freaking racist on Twitter. Like, okay, tough guy, you're talking about killing people. Like, I'm the first guy, I'm the big believer that the first rule of gun safety is have fun, but you can't be cringe with it. That's the most irresponsible thing you can do with a firearm. Of all things that could go wrong with a firearm, that's the kingpin. Because when you're cringe with a gun, it's like a form of negligent discharge, actually. You are endangering the lives of those around you with your negligence. Because if you're being cringe with a firearm, you're going to discourage people from owning firearms, and that's bad, because then we're going to be dealing with a lot of new Americans exercising the right to keep and bear arms in the near future. And the country's a stockpile of weapons, so it should be very secure, right? A rifle behind every blade of grass. Well, what if there's like an illegal patriot there behind that blade of grass too, right? Because when invaders tunnel in and are granted access to those weapons, and then law enforcement and the national security state are not there to stop crime, but to stop you from defending yourself, well, that's a recipe for disaster. Anarcho-tyranny, as it were.
Forrest Espion says, LOL racist. John would have a stroke in Southern California. And there's a link of some kind. Let's see, California's population has been increasingly diverse. No race or ethnic group constitutes a majority of the population. 40% of Californians are Latino, 35% are white, 15% are Asian American or Pacific Islander, 5% are black, 4% are multicultural, and fewer than 1% are Native American or Alaska Natives. And then John is missing out on our rich Mexican culture, and there's links. Get. What was this one?
I just want to know.
Oh, Gabriel Iglesias.
Right? So my advice in the meantime would be take the money that you would spend collecting all your favorite guns from all your favorite movies and video games, get a few nice ones, and then spend the rest of that money on training. There are plenty of ex-military guys who will teach you the things that they've learned. They will give you that training over the course of a few days or longer. You can take their classes. Usually they're not advertised. You're going to have to ask around, but pick a couple guys that you want to train with and then just go do it. And be careful. You know, there are feds, there are lulberts, but otherwise you should pretty much be good to go. It'll be fun. And when we get to Great Again World, you will look back fondly on the experience. Hey guys, if you like this video, leave it a thumbs up, leave it a comment, subscribe to the channel, turn post notifications on so that you are notified in the very frequent and consistent event that I post. And also,
Turner
share the video.
Diaries bullshit. Didn't at some point he posted a picture of some... God, was it either he or some other chud had posted a picture of their room and there was a copy of the Turner Diaries, and I'm trying to remember if it was him or not. I would bet John Doyle has read the Turner Diaries. There's no way he hasn't, right? I'm not saying he necessarily agrees with everything in it, but, like, he very much strikes me as the person who'd be like, I'm gonna read the Turner Diaries.
Your libertarian friend. Share the video with your illegal Haitian friend. Everybody needs to see this. What a crime it would be if more people were not aware.
You're right, it might have been Milo.
Of my opinion on literally any topic, which is why I have graciously shared it with you.
I don't want to repeat it again unless I can actually find a source, though, because I don't want to spread shit that isn't true.
Today. So in summary, we are suspicious of democratizing access to firearms upon this influx of migrants into the country. That doesn't mean we're anti-Second Amendment. John Doyle's not a statist. Well, shut up. Veto, fix it in post. We're just going to jump to the next part. I'm not a statist. That is a fake word. That's not a real word. A statist is by definition a person who believes the government should exist. No, that's not what that means. Yes, it is. Shut up. Playing around with guns. Again, I'm the first one. Why am I summarizing the points? I'm the first guy to tell you, you can like mess around with your friends with guns. That's been going on since there have been guns. Guys doing cool stuff with guns, shooting interesting things. But it's like this weird genre that I've been seeing recently where you've got guys that are just being like cringe about it, I'm literally just repeating the monologue because I feel like I have to clarify, I don't want people getting angry. I can't take it to think that that's why I go AWOL. I don't know how to cope with this. I turn to all sorts of obscure methods. I'm giving you your 2-minute outro. You should be opening up a new tab. You should be going to heckoffcommie.com so that you can check it out. You can enjoy the content. You can sign up. You can do whatever. Yeah, real. Okay, thank you so much for watching. May God bless America.
Wow. Well, that was certainly something. And by something, I mean absolutely fucking embarrassing. So before we move on, I have to pee. Do I still do Sticks or Vegan Teacher? They haven't put out anything that interesting lately. It's just the same old, same old. Doyle's at least getting worse, I'm gonna urinate. Be right back. Chair will take care of you while I'm gone. Chair is very accommodating, and wonderful. So, Chair, take it away, Chair. Princess Chair. I've returned to reclaim my throne. That's an okay chair, 7 out of 10. 7.5, I'll take it. That's a mid-range Marvel movie. I'll take that. Well, let's see how this guy's doing.
Nobody gets along. We don't listen to the police anymore.
Vest Demon with 600 bits says, I think you need this bits after watching John Doyle. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The psychic damage was worth it. Hats off. What do you want me to wear for the hats off?
Did I mention that everybody hates each other? The people who like watching TV and movies and video games.
Who likes watching TV or movies? Joke. Oh, you want me to wear this?
Can't do those things. Because the people who like being activists and barging their way into other people's lives have decided to ruin those things.
He means that there are women with agency in movies now. And queer people in media. He considers that people barging into his life is other people different than him existing.
And it all happened in...
Hannah's background is AI generated. This is an incredible background then. Look at all my AI Blu-rays. It's my Vanna White moment. And you win all of these fucking Blu-rays! Except you don't, because they're mine.
$2020. When they decided, Mommy and Daddy are going to take over, and we're going to do the country the way we want to do the country. Forget what the people...
Only he is the people. You ever notice that, like, super right-wing white people say the people as if, well, it's them. You're not them, so you're not the people. The people is everyone in the country, my friend.
What? Votes? What are those? It's a little thing called the 3 a.m. pipe leak that I need to tell you about.
He's into election conspiracy.
And I'm just like, I'm this normal guy.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are.
Who never got into any of this shit. And now, because I just don't want to be lied to, I'm crazy.
No, you think you're being lied to because you're crazy and believe things that aren't true. So when people tell you you're wrong, you think that they're calling you crazy.
They look at me like I'm crazy.
I wonder why.
The kids and the women.
The kids and the women.
And the black people.
Yikes.
I'm not even racist.
You know, I don't think I believe that.
You guys just broke my fucking ankle.
What?
And then you told me I should... Like, you should be mad at me? I don't fucking know.
How about another diamond, silk bit with a January 6th defendant? That's usually interesting. Let me just change the aspect ratio on this. Man, she talks to this defendant a lot. That's a minute clip.
So I want you to stop what you're doing right now. Be sure to like and share this broadcast and this podcast. Share it everywhere. Share it everywhere. And let them know that Silk is on the air.
Rose who missed it, Diamond died. That's why there's all the pictures. Fenekagami says, reruns exist, my guy. Also, plenty of old school conservative stuff still gets made. Plenty of old stuff you can find that you haven't seen. Seriously, you people can find stuff to watch and be left alone, but the people you watch won't let you be left alone because they need you to be angry to manipulate you and use you for their agendas.
It's imperative that you share the show tonight, you all. We have our J6 panel that will be with us, Jaleese and Mark Middle, and Mr. Dan Wilson will be part of our J6 panel. And but before we bring them on, we got breaking news coming in from Mr. Jake Lane. He's a J6 political hostage.
Oh, you mean a defendant that's being tried for breaking into Congress and doing allegedly illegal acts to try and impede Congress's duty to count the electoral votes? That January 6th defendant?
He's a hostage, y'all. He's going to be bringing us some breaking news in a few minutes, so be sure to share. I want you to share it everywhere, y'all. Okay?
Oh my god, no fucking way. Styx is co-hosting a show with the Quartering? That's gonna be fucking insufferable.
Because our first...
I'm pretty sure if I tried to watch that, my head would explode like the first 5 minutes of Scanners.
Amendment.
By the way, if you watch Scanners, you can watch the first minutes of Scanners.
All right? Now they want to take away our...
That feels mean. Cronenberg is one of my favorite directors, but Scanners is just very dry to me except the first part and then the climax. Scanners is fine. Now Scanner Cop. Now we're talking.
Guns, but then want to allow illegal aliens to have their guns. But they invading our country.
They're not invading. A bunch of people coming into the country isn't an invasion, because an invasion is like a military action. That's not what this is. It's just people coming into the country.
They committed their first crime when they came into our country.
I just like exploding heads. Admit it, Hannah? Yeah. Is that a hidden thing? Do you know me? I fucking love exploding heads in movies. Fucking love horror movies and body horror. Absolutely. Hydrate. Can do.
Illegally. But you locking up American citizens because you say they trespass at the Capitol.
Have you seen the original Manchurian Candidate? Not yet. I do own it. Someone sent it from my wish list some time ago, but I haven't gotten time to sit down and watch that one yet.
Yeah. We have a whole lot to talk about. And I'm just hearing about this 70-year-old woman, Rebecca, is it Lorenz? They want to find her guilty. They found her guilty today of some charges. And all she was doing outside of the Capitol was praying. And then when she walked inside of the Capitol through the red velvet ropes.
Oh, so she did, in fact, trespass on federal property. You know, a crime. Great. Chopping mall. Chopping mall's fun.
Yeah,
Dick Miller's in that. He's the janitor. If Dick Miller's in a movie, I'd probably like that movie. He's a portent of fun horror movies often.
Walking around sightseeing like everybody else.
Or a nice Joe Dante flick.
To the police officer, huh? And then now they want to take a 70-year-old woman and lock her up.
Did you know that people in their 70s can also commit and be culpable for their crimes? Fun fact.
No weapons, no nothing, y'all.
You'll never look at Angela Lansbury the same again. You're making me want to watch this. Is sexy Angela Lansbury in that movie?
This is crazy.
Because Angela Lansbury, honestly, is already, I think, an attractive... Like, I'm thinking of Murder, She Wrote. Like, she's older, but she's a very beautiful woman.
This is totally crazy and totally demonic. And
now I gotta look up
it's
Fist
just
of the North Star.
So unbelievable. So I want you all to make sure that you share it everywhere, you all. Okay? Download the Frank Speech app.
Oh, this is a different thing. Wait, what were you talking about?
It's 2 different apps, and it's absolutely free.
Oh, Manchurian
so don't forget
Candidate. Duh.
to download
Fist of the North Star's an
so
anime.
That you can stay connected,
I was confused.
updated, and informed. If you have any questions, email them to diamondandsilk@gmail.com. diamondandsilk@gmail.com. Shout out to everyone joining me live here on Getter Live, Rumble Live.
Oh my God, get to the fucking thing.
They have
like a prison somewhere in the USA. Please, you all, Jake Lang. Hello, Jake. How are you doing?
Hey, Silk. God bless you. Oh man, I'm glad to be alive and living in the United States of America. Even though I'm locked up behind bars, I still think this is the greatest country in the world.
He's doing better than Chile. Zealous55, thanks for 34 months. Says, thank you for keeping me entertained while I do my hobbies. Recently started Warhammer 40k Kill Team, and if it's not a Warhammer audiobook, it's Hannah laughing about conspiracy theories buzzing in my ear. Appreciate you. Well, thank you. I'm glad that my content is something you enjoy.
And we're winning this fight against evil.
That's right, sweetheart. Now, have they set bail for you yet?
No, they have for the 3rd time. This time they canceled my bail hearing. I was supposed to have one
Did you say silk and cotton? I didn't hear anything like that.
last week. The Brooklyn Federal Prison, where I'm currently located, refused to send a representative to my courtroom. And my judge, I guess he got pretty perturbed about the situation, and he just canceled my bond hearing. That was going to be my 3rd and final attempt to try to get bonded out after 3 years and 4 months behind bars, waiting for trial.
This is your 3rd attempt?
I
don't think it's going to work.
I really need to get home to be able to properly prepare for this trial. It's impossible in being shuffled around to 15 different prisons. I no longer...
Oh no, is he a pro se litigant? He's not a pro se litigant, is he? Don't get me wrong, if there's anyone I kind of laugh at not having good legal counsel, it is a January 6th defendant, but still.
I have my discovery evidence with me. They've taken that.
His discovery evidence, oh my God, he must be fucking pro se. That's incredible.
It's been, just the most insurmountable while you're being tortured, and they're constantly destroying your evidence, shifting you from prison to prison. So, it's already rigged beyond belief to go into these Washington, D.C. courtrooms, these kangaroo courtrooms. But coming in from a prison where they're, holding you solitary confinement and, subjecting you to diesel therapy and all of these different...
Diesel therapy? Someone want to explain that one to me? Fenekagami says, seriously, mom and grandmother are 64 and 88 years old, conservative lifelong Republicans, and they find the modern movement cringe. The drama over Easter and Trans Day was eye-rolling for them. They're both making an effort to understand and respect my trans cousin and are even standing up for her a bit. They watch reruns and NCIS, and my mom loved the Batman when we watched it. Conservatives can get on just fine if they stop being assholes to people.
And other torture techniques that they do. It just makes it so that you're playing poker and the other guy knows what's in your hand.
That's right. Well, even though they have all of these different weapons to weaponize against you, we still have a Republican Congress that should not be funding this. Okay? The Republican Congress, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, they are the ones funding it. And the reason why I got to blame the
Crikey, thanks for subscribing on YouTube.
Republicans, Okay, it's because they have the power of
diesel therapy is a form of punishment in the United States in which prisoners are shackled and then transported for days or weeks. The term refers to diesel fuel used in prisoner transport vehicles.
the purse. They don't have to fund this. And
is that an actual thing that's like a punishment, or is it just them moving from place to place and it's considered punishment because it's so arduous? Is it primarily for the punishment, or is it a punishment as a result of inadequate way of moving prisoners?
They also
genuinely curious.
Have the power to do a real J6 committee hearing so that we can see the real evidence, the evidence that
the real evidence. We've seen plenty of evidence, but it all is devastating to your case, so that must not be the real evidence.
J6 committee that they deleted, okay? The fake the evidence that they deleted, the video evidence.
Little column A, little column B, that's fucked up. H-Bird says, so he hasn't had a trial, but he's in prison, or he's convicted, sentenced, and trying to get bond during an appeal? He is in jail. He has not been sentenced, to my knowledge. I think the whole thing's been dragged on and on and on and on because he's a pro se litigant, which is going to be a fucking problem.
Evidence that they deleted.
Not to mention, I imagine there are a lot of defendants in the January 6th stuff, so I don't know how long it's taking to get stuff done.
Could exonerate a lot of people, all right? Our Republican Congress could stop all of this foolishness and put an end to it. Now, Jake, I understand that you have some breaking news for us. You care to elaborate on that breaking news?
Yeah, we've got a couple different breaking news stories for you guys.
Yeah.
Just recently, I decided to go ahead and release text messages that I had been sending through my assistants to Mark Molinaro, who is the Republican congressman from my district in New York State. He has been for the last year jerking me around, and my father, who connected us, who was one of his largest donors. You know, my dad's just a hardworking entrepreneur in upstate New York, and, you know, he funds a lot of great Republican candidates, or so he thought them to be great. And
they thought they were great, but they won't get me out of prison.
Mark been promising my father to come down here with my dad. And when I was still in Washington, D.C. jail, now I'm in Brooklyn. Now he has absolutely no excuse. I mean, either he's in his home district in New York, upstate, or he's in D.C. He had really no excuse either way. He'd been promising to come visit me. He'd been promising to come on my Political Prisoner podcast. He'd been promising.
He has a podcast.
To put up a fight to even.
That's probably what I would do in prison. If I was in jail, I'd do a podcast. Why not?
Mention
what else are you gonna do? I like to talk, and I need attention, so.
In my name or any of the January 6th names or this plight that we're in, you know, multiple years of solitary confinement, being railroaded, you know, and accosted by the Biden FBI and corrupt DOJ. And he has just been giving us the old, you know, oh, text me next week, or I'll be available XYZ date. And it's been basically.
He is doing what got Chili in trouble. He is. I don't know if the jail he's in allows third-party phone calls, or if they just don't give a shit, or if this actually might be previously recorded. If she doesn't live stream this, it's fine. You can do interviews. The problem that Chili had was that he was live. You can record things, like one-on-one phone calls. Chili's issue was that the jail he's in doesn't allow third-party phone calls. So when he was live streaming, the jail considers that a third-party phone call, because Chili's one party, the guy he's calling is the second party, and then the audience listening to the live stream is the third party. The audience is not on his list of approved phone numbers, so that's what got him in trouble. He's still recording from jail, he's just not doing it live, and that's allowed. That was the point of contention, was that it was live. You were allowed to communicate from, you know, jail if that's, you know, if you have phone privileges and stuff.
Going on for a year. So I had my team go on Google Voice and take the text messages and post them on my Twitter, just to show the rest of the American people, the world, what we're really dealing with here with these rhino, spineless Republicans that promise you, you know, the world.
The important thing is he didn't do anything wrong, and everyone is working against him, including his former allies.
And then when it comes time to deliver, they are just so weak. And they're really, I mean, we've got to deal with our own house first before we can clean up with America. We know who the Democrats are. They've been radicalized into socialism. But inside our own house, these rhinos, they're incredibly dangerous because they promise you one thing and they stab you in the back and give you another.
Yeah, and it's time for Mark to grow some balls, okay? I can say acorn, but I'm just going to keep it real for the people. It's time for Mark Marlinero, whatever his name is, to grow some real balls here and help his constituents, okay? If he promised something, then do what you say you're going to do, all right? And it's sad that these people are spineless and allowing this. Now, I understand also, I saw some more breaking news where the January Sixers strike back with a massive lawsuit. Over 78 January 6 patriots are listed as plaintiffs on the groundbreaking multi-million-dollar lawsuit that alleges Capitol Police misconduct, gross indifference, dereliction of duty, police brutality, and hundreds of instances.
Police brutality? You guys beat the shit out of the cops. What are you talking about? They were incredibly restrained. Like, I remember on the 6th, because, like, January 6th, we were live. We watched that live. If you weren't a fan at the time or weren't following at the time, we watched January 6th unfold live from multiple different streams. Like, we absolutely spent the whole day watching that. And I was shocked at the time at how much restraint the cops had. They weren't doing barely fucking anything to stop these people. That's hilarious.
Of peaceful protesters being injured on January the 6th. 17 other U.S. Capitol MPD officers and officials remain to be served in a J6 class action lawsuit for their actions that left 4 unarmed peaceful protesters dead. Where is the mainstream, lamestream media on that? But I have Jake Lane right here, right now, to break it all down.
I'm sorry, are you talking about Ashley Babbitt?
Jake, what's going on?
So this is incredible. We've been basically, after 3 years after an incident in Washington, D.C., as the statute of limitations is up. And so on January 5th, my legal team with j6legal.org got together this massive lawsuit. We piled all these Jan 6ers into it that wanted to be part of this, and we filed a huge J6 class action on the eve of making sure that we got in, that our rights as people.
Yeah, I don't know who they were referring to with the other 3, because the only actual January 6er who died, to my knowledge, was Ashley Babbitt. I know there was an officer who died a couple days later. I believe there was a self-deletion that maybe had some related thing to this, but other than that, I'm not sure.
Were denied to us, and we were abused by the Capitol Police. And
yeah, I think some days later, someone had a stroke or a heart attack, one of the cops or something.
Metropolitan Police Forces, and some of us injured.
Oh, is he not pro se? Okay.
Gravely. We're going to be able to be brought to civil court one day. Well, we got the lawsuit filed, and then now
this is for a different law. This is for a civil action, though. So you have to have a lawyer for a civil action, I'm pretty sure. So I'm thinking in his criminal case he's pro se, but he's a party to a larger collective lawsuit that does have a lawyer.
Have 90 days since January 5th, which would be...
So I don't know if he has a criminal attorney. He's talking about a civil thing right now.
Tomorrow, to get all of these Capitol Police officers and officials and all the different people that were involved. There's over 21 defendants. 78 Jan 6 plaintiffs were suing 21 Capitol Police officers and officials. And just last night, the first of them was served, who was the highest ranking police officer that was present at the Capitol grounds that day. His name is Eric Waldo. He resigned from the Capitol Police and got a nice cozy job in some sheriff's county, office in Southern Maryland. And, begs the question, if, all these guys were so proud of defending democracy on January 6th, why out of our 21 defendants on this lawsuit, I feel like there's only 3 or 4 of them that are still working with the Capitol Police. A lot of people resigned. They moved away. Yogananda Pittman moved to California. She's a chief of police at UC Berkeley. And so
I mean, yeah, after that, I'd imagine you maybe wouldn't want that job anymore. I imagine that was a pretty fucking traumatizing experience for a lot of people. Fenekami says, if they charge you before the statute of limitations is up, the time limit doesn't matter until the trial is over.
We sent the process server out there to California to serve her. She's been dodging our process server. We can't find her at the chief police station. We can't find her at her home, but we're going one by one. We've got multiple process servers. We've got them dressed up in mustaches. We've got them dressed up like UPS delivery drivers.
Does she know what the process servers look like already?
We're going to serve these crooked cops that killed and injured Jan 6ers, peaceful protesters on the grounds of the Capitol that day. One way or another, we're going to get to them.
If anyone ever sues me and sends a process server, please have them wear a silly costume. It won't fool me or anything, but I think it'll help lessen the blow.
And we just served the first one last night, and we've got another 3 or 4 we served today, and tomorrow we're going all in. We've got people coming, swinging in from the trees. They want to come round us up with FBI agents. Well, we're sending process servers, and we're hitting them with civil litigation, and we're going to prove that we were truly innocent on January 6th.
You're not going to do that through civil litigation. That's not how this works.
Yeah,
that's not how any of this works.
To fight fire with fire, and that's what I see you doing. And you're doing way more from behind bars. You all are doing more than our own spineless Republican Congress is doing.
What about Donald Trump? Shouldn't you be blaming Donald Trump? Shouldn't he be paying for your lawsuit if you think he's so on your side?
So I say kudos to you all, and I wish
singing telegram, but it's a process server. I am your singing telegram.
Wish you all much.
Name that movie.
Success in that. Is it anything else that you want to announce? Right now, you got 1 minute.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Sil, for being so steadfast a supporter, and my prayers and my thoughts and my love and the power of Jesus to heal is with Mark and
I'm Joseph. Do not forget my name.
Jalise, I know they're going through a great struggle right now, and I just ask that everybody here pray for them. They're great patriots. They've done so much to help out our community, and for everybody out there that is wondering about how to help the Jan 6ers, guys, go to Sponsor J6,
which is very close to the. Well, we live pretty close to our neighbor's house, and like this window's pretty thin, and I was belting that fucking song. So I'm pretty sure the neighbors probably heard me basically screaming Les Mis, which is great.
Turned into a great resource for all of us. We need that commissary. SponsorJ6.com is the place to go. Silk.
I don't want to buy like Takis for traders. Thanks.
God bless you so much. Thank you for being part of Blessed News Network as well. God bless you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of Blessed News Network. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Anytime you have breaking news, Jake, hey, just let me know and we'll be sure to get you on. Stay safe, stay protected, and God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Now they'll know I'm gay. They know.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Incredible, you all. All right, that's SponsorJ6.com. SponsorJ6.com. I was excited to see this massive lawsuit that they got against these individuals. This is exactly what's going to have to happen, okay? These people can sit around and persecute and prosecute somebody for what they say trespassing at the Capitol. Well, then these individuals who basically violated their own oath, okay, and took and did what they did out there. We have 4 citizens, unarmed citizens killed. They're dead today because of a lot of these different officers and different things. And it's on video. This is the bottom.
Yes, Ashley Babbitt got shot on video. Yep. For doing the stupidest shit ever. Yep. Approaching a Congress member while rioting in the building that Congress is in the Capitol, as a Secret Service agent is pointing a gun at you and telling you, stop, do not keep moving towards the congressperson, and you crawl through a broken window approaching them, what do you think's gonna happen? Come on.
Y'all, lying, you all.
Freyline says the other 3 are Kevin D. Greason, died of a heart attack, collapsed on the sidewalk west of the Capitol on January 6th. Roseanne Boyland appeared to have been crushed in a stampede of fellow rioters as they surged against the police. Benjamin Phillips, the founder of a pro-Trump website called Trumparoo, died of a stroke. I thought the trampling thing turned out to be fake.
It is on video. All right? So you can't deny it. You can't deny it. because it's on video. And
yes, and it's devastating to the if you were to make a case out of it, it would be devastating to Ashley Babbitt's case. She was giving warning after warning. She was already in a place she wasn't supposed to be, breaking the law.
All of America saw
harming people, threatening people.
It happened. That's right. So I wish them much love and much success in this. That's sponsor j6.com. Now, speaking of Jaleese and Mark Middle, I want to go ahead on and bring on our J6 panel. So please welcome to the show, Jaleese and Mark Middle and Dan Wilson. Welcome, welcome. Hello, how are you all doing?
We're doing very well, despite the circumstances. God is
despite the circumstances.
If you ever need to be on a stream for something, if you're not a streamer, if you're not a movie like a video making person, and you've never done a video before, and you're like, I need to be on this stream or whatever, where do I set my camera? The answer is at eye level or above. The answer is never down here. The answer is always at least here or here. Do not put your camera down here. It's not flattering to anyone. Put it up here. We don't want to look like, nope, not gonna say that. That's a terrible joke. The point is, don't do this.
Yeah. So
that's almost as annoying to me as people who shoot in portrait when they should be shooting in landscape.
I want to start with Jaleese and Mark Middle. I understand that you all have already, I guess they found you all guilty of whatever bogus charges they done put on you all. And now they've given you all your sentences and different things. So please let the people know let the people know what this rogue government have done to you all.
Sure. So currently we were found guilty on, I believe it was February about 11th or 12th. Our trial started on the 5th, but we have not been sentenced yet. The DOJ has recommended 4 to 9 years. They found us guilty on all 9 charges, and 4
the jury
of those are
found
felonies.
You guilty, you mean?
We didn't know this at the time, and most of your listeners don't, but it is assaulting federal police officers if you have your back to them praying and they come up and start beating you with clubs.
You know, I don't think it is. I'm guessing that's not what you were charged with.
And you turn
or why you were charged
around to shield yourself from the club strikes. We now know that.
You're hearing correctly.
I want to see the video so bad.
Correctly.
That was shown in their trial.
We too were.
There's no way they're fucking telling the truth. That's so funny.
We didn't go in the Capitol, Silk. We stayed behind the barricades, and we went up there to start praying for our nation. We even had our faith for us to so-called assault police officers. Even during our trial, it was looking very threatening for the DOJ, to the point they filled the courtroom up on, what was it, that Thursday or Friday?
The Thursday, yeah.
Filled the courtroom up with the upper echelons to make dang sure that that judge was going to interpret those charges the way they expected him to.
What? Again, everything's a conspiracy. Everything that doesn't go their way is the result of, like, intentional action. It can never just be you did something wrong, or people disagree with you, or that, like, your interpretation of what was happening is different than other people's interpretation, or that you can have good intent, but what you were doing is actually wrong. None of this crosses their mind. Everything's against them. Everything's a conspiracy.
What were the charges?
It's funny that they seem to try and be the party of quote-unquote personal responsibility when they're the last people on Earth to ever take responsibility for their actions.
So we have the 1512, the Enron paper shredding charge that about 330 J6ers have. And then we have civil disorder felony, which is the 231. 18 USC 231, I believe it is. And then we have 2 18 USC 111 charges, which are assaulting federal police officers. And then the other remaining 5 are the standard ones that most all J6ers get, including one of them One of the 1752 charges is...
Oh God, look at their tacky wall art. Be still and know that I am God. I hope they enjoy the 4 or so years in prison.
Interstate commerce.
Here's the DOJ report for their trial. Lovely. Let's take a look. Texas couple found guilty of assaulting law enforcement and other charges during January 6th Capitol breach. A Texas couple were found guilty in the District of Columbia today of multiple felony and misdemeanor offenses, including assaulting law enforcement officers during the January 6th breach of the electoral votes related to the 2020 presidential election. A federal jury convicted Mark Middleton, 55, and Jalise Middleton, 54, both of Forestburg, Texas, of 2 counts of assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers, when in reality, assaulting and resisting are the same charge here. So they're saying they're being charged with the other when really it's or this statute. Anyway. Civil disorder and obstruction of an official proceeding. All of these are felony offenses. In addition to the felonies, the Middletons were convicted of a misdemeanor offense of entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, engaging in physical violence in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in the Capitol grounds or building, and acts of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or building. Ow, shit. Sorry, I think I have a cut on my thumb that I didn't realize, and I just kind of flicked at it with my nail, and it fucking hurt. Sorry, one sec. Ow. Did I get something in there? Did I get, like, a splinter? According to the trial evidence and police body-worn camera footage as the officers struggled with the group of rioters, a male individual, later identified as Mark Middleton, pushed against the barricades and the police line with his body. Officers are heard on body-worn camera footage repeatedly ordering Mark Middleton and others to get back. In response, Mark Middleton is heard yelling, "Fuck you," as he continues to push against the police barricades. Evidence shows that Mark Middleton resisted MPD officers, grabbed onto an MPD officer's left hand or wrist, and pulled the officer forward towards the crowd. Wait a minute, I was told he was just praying, but there's video evidence he did otherwise? You're telling me he's repeatedly grabbing and striking the same officer over the barricade with her hand. Another officer then approached to assist, and Jalise Middleton struck that officer as well. Video footage shows that the couple continued to grapple with and strike at the officers in an attempt to pull an officer into the crowd, as various flags were jabbed towards the officers' faces. MPD officers later deployed a chemical spray, forcing the Middletons to retreat from the barricade line. Both defendants later posted social media messages touting the key roles in helping to breach the barricades by fighting officers, and that they had only stopped due to the pepper spray. You can pray and assault an officer at the same time. He's a multitasker. He's not lying. He's just omitting. What fucking assholes.
One of the 1752 charges is interstate commerce. Because we were there, that we are now liable because a Safeway shut down at 6 o'clock, even though we were nowhere near the Capitol at 6 o'clock p.m. Or a Safeway. We were found guilty of that charge because that Safeway had to shut down 3 hours early. So we affected interstate commerce, and that's one of our misdemeanors.
H. Baird says, well, we're on the subject.
We're animated, totally insane.
They pushed me out and paced me.
That's one of my favorite little meme clips that came out of January 6th. Like, it was a serious thing, but let's not pretend we're not in an age where very serious things get turned into memes. In terms of the memes that got made of that very serious situation, that one's my favorite.
Wait. Have the two of you all, just the two? Okay, I'm looking at.
It's probably a good thing 9/11 happened before Twitter and stuff. Those memes would have been,
That's all right.
Too soon.
No, all right. I don't know how old you all are. Okay. Well, how you gonna shut down a whole Safeway?
Apparently, yes. That's what they accused of, and the jury found us guilty
Wow, sounds like you were probably guilty then.
Of
the jury or your
apparently
peers found you guilty.
shutting down a Safeway.
So
if that's a crime and you did, yeah.
Just so you,
I'm guessing that that's not the entirety of the reason. Shocking.
I gotta share. I'm a disabled grandma, okay?
Again, that does not preclude you from committing crime in any way. Well, it gets mocked now, of course. It's been 23 years.
I can barely walk.
One
now
of the
you
17
can do like Femboy 9/11. Femboy 9/11, always worth it. So that's what they've been up to. Not great. Not great. 8 homosexuals.
What's going on, everybody? Get the Region Rob here. I'm in Lansing, Michigan. Just got done with the Christina Caramel rally. Pete Hoekstra is not the chair. Anyway.
Oh, he's upset that the old head of the Michigan RNC got removed because she was awful and terrible at her job. That was great. I wish she had stayed as the chair. She was absolutely running the Michigan GOP into the ground, and I loved every second of it. Miss her.
Yeah. I'll go by.
She ended up trying to sell the RNC headquarters to make money because they were so broke, but then it turned out they didn't own the headquarters, they were leasing it.
And I'll go about that on another video, but basically, if you don't understand Michigan politics, we're in a fight for our life here. We really are. And the courts decided that Pete Hoekstra is the GOP chair, not Christina Caramel. The courts shouldn't decide who's a chair. That's why we have delegates. That's why we have delegates. Anyway, enough about that. So, there was an incident at a Fairbanks, Alaska Planet Fitness.
Rage and Rob and CC should have a rant off one day. I'm convinced that Rob is somehow the illegitimate son. Sorry for the language. Bastard son. What's a not fucked up way to describe a child out of wedlock that CC had at some point that he's unaware of?
Where a so-called trans male whatever was in the woman's locker room with the woman and her 12-year-old daughter shaving his balls, shaving his testicles. Yeah. That's a big problem.
I don't think anyone should shave balls in front of other people, kind of regardless of your gender. Like, go into a stall.
The woman
I don't think that's a gender thing. I just think that's a you shouldn't show your balls to people thing. Regardless of where you are.
You
don't think this happened? I have no idea what they're referencing. I can't keep, even I, who do this for a living, can't keep track of all the right-wing rage bait that every day there's a new fucking fake thing.
Everybody left. What the hell? Man, that was quick. Everybody left. Anyway, the GOP office here in Lansing on Seymour Road. Everybody's gone. Anyway, so the woman took a photo of the guy. I'm going to call it what it is. He's a guy. I don't care, wrong pronouns. I don't give a fuck. If you don't know your pronouns, that's not my problem.
Moving on. It's not really worth it to analyze Rob's thing because he's like lowest common denominator, but it is interesting, his thought process.
Took a photo of the guy and posted it on social media. I'm just going to say this right now. If you are a male pervert and you're going to any woman's locker room or any female restroom, whatever, wherever else, department store, grocery store, wherever.
Wait, I can't shave my balls at the grocery store anymore? What's the shoe section even for?
You should have your picture taken and it should be blasted all over social media. So her membership was terminated on a...
Toreador with 50 bits says, Mormon grandmother took a picture of a trans woman in the locker room getting dressed. The gym canceled their membership. Libs of TikTok picked it up, and now they have 17 bomb threats at that Planet Fitness. Oh, or Planet Fitness is around the country. Lovely. Balls weren't even mentioned by the woman who took the picture. Oh, okay. So they're just mad a trans person existed. Lovely.
Second day of her having a gym membership because she violated the Planet Fitness's mobile policy. So I asked Planet Fitness.
Yeah, don't take pictures of people in the locker room. What the fuck?
Okay, what are you going to do about the guy that was in the woman's restroom?
They're not a guy. They're trans. They're a trans woman, man. I don't know what to tell you. Always good to see Rob.
They took Christmas away from us. And
no, they didn't. What are you talking about?
Now everyone wants to say season's greetings. And now they're trying to take Easter away from us and make it a transgender day of visibility.
Like, how? They're just lying. Again, it's one thing to just, like, misrepresent, but this is just a lie. Like, isn't it insane how they just lie? What in the world? Nemesaur, thanks for 31 months. Appreciate it.
When people tell me, like, you share racist stuff, how is that in line with Jesus? You go, well, Jesus is the Son of God, but he also is God, Trinitarianly speaking. So there were moments where God literally punished the king, Saul being one of them, for literally refusing to wipe out entire nations. And to this day, because of the refusal to wipe out Amalek, they still have problems with the Amalekites down the road today. We still have Arab issues because of the Hittites, some of the other groups that even you go back even further, that they refused, that they had bashes within their offspring. So God literally was trying to prevent future problems by bringing judgment that seemed cruel.
Holy fucking shit. He basically was just like, it's too bad there weren't genocides. Oh boy, or more of them. Fucking Jesus fucking Christ. Every goddamn time with these people.
And they cried out for a deliverer. God, give us somebody. And God raised up Samson, remember, to help bring deliverance. Do you know what the people did? They tied up their own deliverer that God sent and handed him over to the Philistines. This is what the evangelicals and the never know Trumper evangelicals, pastors and stuff done. They tied up a deliverer that God has appointed and anointed. When he's meant for your children, for you, and for this country. And it has nothing to do with him. It has everything. This is what people have got to be careful of. This is why when they write their lunacy and misquote us all the time, you're touching God. You're touching what God has said and what God wants to do.
The number of people who straight up have their political ideology entirely wrapped around their religious beliefs are fucking wild to me. The AI images. The right-wing AI images have been fucking hilarious. Who needs Lenny Riefenstahl? We have AI.
Listen, don't take this the wrong way, but you sound like a left-wing nut bar. If you want to shut down every corporation and every bank, where are you going to get a job? Where are you going to work? Where's the economy going to go?
Corporations don't produce anything.
And oh, really? No, financial corporations on Wall Street. Are you driving a car to the protest?
No, they are speculators. I'm talking about the financial institutions like Goldman Sachs. They don't manufacture. They don't make anything. They gamble.
Listen, don't take this.
Based. That guy's the fucking worst. The guy on the left on Shark Tank. Fucking terrible. What?
Hi, my name is Officer Guzman from the Miami Beach Police Department Community Affairs Unit. The department has been made aware of that this Thursday, March 21st, students will be participating here at South Point Park in the beach, reference Senior Skip Day. We would like to remind students that skipping during school hours is considered truancy. Students could be detained and taken back to school that day, even though parents allow them to miss school.
Fucking what? My school had a senior... Doesn't, like, every school have a senior skip day? It's not a big deal. What the fuck? This is what you're wasting your time with? Is trying to fucking get seniors taking a day off of school? Oh my god. Everything is trash.
Question I'm asked quite a lot. Do I miss America?
Oh, this is that guy that ran away to Russia. He's the January 6er that took he and his family to fucking Russia. Tiny Paws, thanks for a 20 stream streak.
Damn right I miss home. I miss my environment. I miss my friends.
My teachers explicitly on senior skip day told us, because I was told on do not show up, basically.
My family living on the river, living near the ocean.
It was as close to being official as it could actually be without being on the school calendar. Everyone knew about it and everyone expected it to be a thing.
Surrounded by people who cared about me, having a net to fall back on. And here I have nothing. I have very few friends. I have no family. It's me against the world. But let's talk about this. You see,
I saw that note for senior skip day. No.
They like to say things like, that I am a...
At my school above, if you were over 16, I think they let you call yourself in. Because, like, over 16, you legally didn't even have... Like, in my state, you don't have to be in school past 16. You could just leave if you really wanted to. So, after 16, you can just call yourself out of school. At my school, at least.
Traitor for leaving states of America because there are injustices occurring. And they're being committed by the United States government against citizens who are being held without bond, against their constitutional rights,
Maybe it's 17 then?
stripping them of their
Either way, at 16, we could call out at my school.
constitutional rights via the Patriot Act.
I might have the age wrong for dropping out, but for...
And I recorded this, and I had evidence of this. And what happened? I got a knock on my door from the FBI.
Don't do January 6th then.
They seized everything. Everything. All of my accounts over...
Why do they say this? Why do they say this as if, can you believe I broke laws and they took my shit? Like, yeah, do you think laws were only for brown people? What the fuck?
All of my accounts over 1 million...
Do I like the slasher with Uncle Sam as the killer? I always take a chance to show off my lenticular covers. Do you mean the film Uncle Sam? Look at this lenticular cover. I want you dead. Anyway, yes, I like this movie. I own it on 4K. It's a fun 90s slasher that pokes fun at the military-industrial complex. It's decent. It's worth
million followers, everything's gone. Because they didn't want you, the average citizen, to realize their corruption. They didn't want you to realize that they're holding people without bond indefinitely in solitary confinement. So they took all of the evidence so that you couldn't view. So you can call me a traitor, that's fine.
Okay.
But deep down, we all know that true patriots continue to speak out. And I risked everything. I gave up everything.
I mean, are you really a patriot if you move to another country?
I gave up the river, the beach, the friends, the family to come to another country so that I could speak out against the injustice being
Miscellaneous, thanks for 33 months, says, Happy Freemasonversary! Woo!
committed against these people held in prisons.
In prisons? They're in prisons for trying to overthrow a democratically elected process.
Call me a traitor. Call me what you will.
Okay.
It's fine.
Butthole.
I don't care.
I choose butthole.
I'm happy you're here. I'm free here. I don't have the FBI knocking on my door. And the government isn't persecuting me.
Better actor than Chili? Marginally, he might actually get casted in Power Rangers and stay there.
And the government here, believe it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, the government here isn't arresting people for speaking out against them.
No, people just fall out of windows a lot, mysteriously.
You can believe CNN, you can believe Teddy's cousins, uncles, daddies, sisters, best friends, information that is misinformation.
What a fool. Alright. I think we're done for the night. It's a little early, but I can only do so much chuds. And we got through John Doyle much quicker than I was expecting anyway. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Much appreciated. I will be back tomorrow. 4 days. It's in 4 days. Oh yeah. So anyway, thanks everyone. Boop boop boop. See who we're gonna raid. If you are watching raid, done him more recently. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow either for Sovsits or Tinfoil, whichever I end up being able to procure more interesting videos for. I'll see you then. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Hug the people you love.